Welcome to today's video where I'm going to share tips on how to stay organized while working a 9 to 5. If you're new here, my name is Arnesia and I started my career in human resources 5 years ago, and 4 of those years I have worked from home. So if you're interested, I do have some work from home videos where I give a little bit more insight into what my normal day-to-day looks like, and I'll have that playlist linked above so that you can check it out after you watch this video. Staying organized while working a 9 to 5, whether that be in the office or working from home, is so important because it can make or break your in-office or your work from home experience. The first tip to staying organized is to have a clean workspace. If your workspace is cluttered, it will be so hard for you to focus and you won't have much motivation to do your work. So my recommendation is to clean up your workspace after each workday, or if that's too much, you can clean up your workspace at the beginning of each week. The next tip I have is probably one of my favorites, and it's to create a to-do list. I recommend writing it down and having it in front of you throughout your day so that you can track and check off items as you complete them. So this not only helps you stay organized throughout the day and you're able to see exactly what you're working on and what you need to accomplish that day, but it also gives you a sense of accomplishment when you go through and check off those items. Depending on your job, you may have phone calls or meetings throughout your entire day. So my next tip is to block your calendar. If your company uses Google Calendar, you do have the capability to make your meeting invitations public or private, but I do recommend making some of them public so that your colleagues can respect your focus time. So my recommendation is to block off maybe 1 to 2 hours of your workday to focus on your to-do list or a specific project that you're working on. And you can make that calendar invite specifically, you can make that public so that your colleagues can see that you have time blocked this time so that you can work on some actual work and you're not available for a meeting. So for example, you can make the calendar invitation, focus time, project work, please reach out before scheduling. And that gives your colleagues some insight into what you're working on, and also they know that you are not available for a meeting. And if they absolutely have to meet with you during that time, then they will reach out to you first rather than just throwing some time on your calendar. And you can also auto reject or auto decline calendar invites during certain time periods on your calendar if that is absolutely a no-go for you. You do not want any meetings during that time. And I find that extremely helpful, especially if your work is very phone or meeting heavy. My next tip is to take notes during your meetings and send a recap to the attendees afterwards. If you are a project manager or a project manager is attending those calls, then that person should be the one sending the recap after the meeting. But if there's not one, then I highly recommend that you do this because it not only makes sure that everyone is aligned, but it holds everyone that attended that meeting accountable. And in your recap, I highly recommend that you do an overview of what the meeting was, what came out of that meeting, and also put who is responsible for what as far as the next steps go, if there are any. Because 1, you can have a paper trail of what you have been working on. 2, you can hold others accountable and make sure that they are getting their work done as well. And 3, this just is extremely important, especially when you're trying to stay organized and you have several things that you're working on at once. So I highly recommend this. And another thing is Google. If your company uses G Suite at all, in the documents, there is a new template that they have where you can have meetings and it will allow you to take notes for specific meetings on your calendar. So I highly recommend doing this, and you are able to actually share that document with the attendees if you'd like, or you can keep it to yourself. So I do this all the time, but I just typically keep them to myself so that I can just brain dump everything, and then if I need to, I'll send a recap to the attendees based on my notes, and that way I'm able to make sure that I'm tracking what I need to do, what others need to do as well, and also I know who attended that meeting, who did not attend that meeting, and when that meeting actually took place. One major tip that I have is to always ask questions. If you work from home, you don't have the luxury, or if you consider it a luxury, of walking up to someone's desk and just asking them a quick question. So if you're in a meeting or if you're not in a meeting and you're confused about something or you need clarification, be sure to ask. This not only saves you time, but it also saves other people time as well, because the worst thing that can happen is that you're working on something and you do it completely wrong because you were afraid to ask the question, and then you just have to start all the way over because you were doing it wrong. And also, asking questions can be a very good thing, especially when you're trying to grow within your job. It really shows leadership that you're interested and you're taking initiative to learn more. So I highly recommend just asking questions on those meetings. Don't be afraid, take yourself off mute, because if you have a question, it's 90% chance that someone else on that call has the same exact question. The last tip that I have for today is to keep track of your work. So if you spend time working on it, Google Sheets can be your very best friend. At this point, this sounds like a G Suite partnership, but I promise you it's not, even though I wish it was. But this not only helps you stay organized, but it can also be a foundation of when and if you would like to ask for a promotion. So if you're keeping track of all of the work that you're working on, this document can help you whenever you're making that argument or whenever you're making like a presentation about yourself. You can showcase all of the things that you have been working on. So when you're working, you sometimes don't even realize how much you actually do at your job until you reflect and have a document that shows all of that. So if you're looking to start documenting, or if you just want a new template in Google Sheets, I did create one on my own, and I will have it linked down below for you in the description box. It is free, but just make sure that you download a copy of it for yourself. And then once you download a copy, you can customize it as much or as little as you'd like. But I do highly recommend that you start tracking your work, especially if you're new in the 9-to-5 world, or even if you're not new. This is something that everyone should do, no matter what job you're doing. You need to keep track of the work that you're doing so that you can elevate yourself in the long run, and you can also see how much you are truly doing. Make sure you check out the template in the description box. If you like that template, be sure to let me know, and I'll be sure to create some new ones. I actually really enjoy creating Google Sheets templates because I'm someone who likes to stay very, very organized to the T in my personal life as well as my career. So those are all of the tips that I have for today's video. If you have any questions or any comments, make sure that you leave them down below. I truly appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I will see y'all next Tuesday. Bye.